his neck down. Knowing that that's a good thing to do, some of you have written in on, well, like what are the cues to do that, to make that happen? This is a really good question. I'm going to share the top tips I think that will help you. Number one is, most effectively, what works for most people is to start to ask for that request with a little bit of feel in your reins at a shorter adjustment. So a lot of folks start out by just, if the horse's neck is here and they want it to relax and stretch down, a lot of times people just sort of do this with the rein and they expect the horse to kind of figure out that they should put their head down. Sometimes that works, but it's usually not the most logical way forward. So the first two things that need to happen first, I'm going to demonstrate in the walk first, is you need to have a very steady rhythm and line of travel. So like, don't even worry where the horse's head is. You just need to have a really steady, whatever gait you're in. By steady rhythm, I mean one that's not like a couple quick steps and then a few slow steps, but just like a metronome. You've got to have that before anything else. Then you need to have a very clear line of travel, because like, and maybe set up cones to help you. Because otherwise what happens is if you're vague at all with your line of travel, the horse is constantly calibrating his balance. So if you're like sort of making a good circle here, but then you lose your focus a little bit and your circle sort of bulges out on that side like a water balloon, the horse tightens up various parts of his body to calibrate for that. So all of those recalibrations are reflected in the neck, generally pulling the neck up and tightening it. So the first thing you do is just set this steady rhythm, and I'm looking ahead, visualizing my line of travel, and I get my reins adjusted such that I have a light feel on both corners of his mouth, okay? Once we're here, and Diamante feels comfy with this contact, and he's maintaining his rhythm, no big deal, then it is simply just a matter of me staying really seated fully, not doing anything funny or different with my seat, and just opening my ring fingers a little bit to basically allow him to 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch take the reins lower to the ground. But as he starts to drop his head right here, I make sure I'm maintaining a light but positive tension in the reins, okay? I'm constantly paying attention, there we go, and I'm letting out as much rein, I'm feeding out as much rein as I can without them getting totally loose. If I get loose, I've kind of just broken my connection with him and he's like, well, where'd you go? What are we doing here? What's the program, right? Okay, so let me demonstrate that same thing in the trot. I'm going to shorten my reins again, maintaining a steady rhythm, a very clear line of travel. You cannot be vague at all. That affects the horse's balance and all those wobbles get reflected in his neck, pulling his neck up. So I'm going to go into the trot. I'm going to start with a little bit shorter, but not tighter, just a shorter rein, kind of like a working trot. If and when Diamante's comfortable here, it is simply a matter of letting the rein get a little bit longer. That's the key, a little bit at a time. A little bit more, little bit more. Check my rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2. Am I still on a super clear line of travel? I had to make an adjustment right there. He was speeding up. Okay, now I give him a little bit longer rein. But the reins are not loose. There's a difference between long and loose, okay? He lost his attention because something's happening outside the arena. I just keep the rhythm steady. Now he starts to stretch. I let the rein get a little longer and a little longer, okay? So I'll come back to the walk. So if you keep those tips in mind, I think you'll make a lot more progress with asking the horse to stretch forward and downward. But as always, if I didn't answer the question thoroughly, feel free to drop questions in the comment box below and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for tuning in.